1. An introduction to the Millionaire Mind. They live in lovely homes located in fine neighborhoods. Balance is their approach to life. They are financially independent, yet they enjoy life. They are not all work, no play type of people. Most became millionaires in one generation. Neither their lifestyle nor their wealth was generated from being highly leveraged financially. They are not credit junkies. How did they accomplish this? How did they balance their need to become wealthy and economically productive with their need to enjoy life? They have the millionaire mind. Early in my career of studying wealthy people, I had a glimpse of this segment of the millionaire population. In 1983 I was asked to interview 60 millionaires from Oklahoma. What I learned from them was simple, yet the message had a lasting impact on me. You cannot enjoy life if you are addicted to consumption and the use of credit. These Oklahoma millionaires were just the opposite, as demonstrated by one focus group of 10. All 10 were seasoned business owners, executives, or professionals. All were first-generation wealthy. Some were credit-dependent earlier in their careers, but they eventually saw the light. They went cold turkey, breaking the cycle of borrowing to consume, earning to consume, and borrowing more and more money. Others never became addicted to credit or the need to display their success. All 10 were multimillionaires. They lived in fine homes in well-established, older neighborhoods. They drove American-made motor vehicles. They enjoyed life. They were not workaholics. They spent a lot of time with their families and friends, borrowed little money, and became wealthy, in most cases, before they were 45 years old. My interview with this group was scheduled to last about 2 hours, but it actually went on for nearly 4 hours. I only had to ask a few questions. The members enjoyed telling their own stories about becoming wealthy. If there were a focus group Hall of Fame, all 10 of these millionaires would be inducted during the first round. There were many important points made about how one can become an economic success, but one statement was riveting. It was made by Gene. He mentioned that those who are credit dependent are in fact controlled by someone else, some institution. Gene was in his late 40s at the time. He listed his occupation as owner of a salvage business. He purchased or salvaged real estate from various financial institutions. These institutions have loans that are in default, 6 months or more. Just a few weeks prior to the interview, Gene salvaged 68 homes, a commercial shopping center, and 5 multifamily apartment complexes from a financial institution with which he'd had many previous dealings. Immediately after the deal was signed, the senior credit officer of the institution signaled to Gene and walked with him over to the large window in the officer's top-floor office. It was a tall building, they could see for miles and miles. There were thousands upon thousands of commercial buildings all around. Gene could even see some of the residential neighborhoods on the horizon. As he looked out the window, the officer pointed to all the buildings, homes, offices, garages, shops, and so on, and said the words that made a lasting impression on Gene. We, the lenders, own it all of it. The business out there. You, borrowers, just run these businesses for us. You guys run them for us, the financial institutions. How many people today in America run their businesses, their professional practices, but actually work for or are being controlled by lenders? How many live in luxury homes yet work hard to make payments to the ultimate owner of the mortgage? How many people take care of autos they lease from the real owner? Too many. But Gene is not among them, nor were any of the other members of his focus group. All possessed the millionaire mind. None had a private credit officer doling out cash. All lived in fine homes, but not one had a jumbo mortgage. The lesson I learned from Gene was repeated many times over by the millionaires surveyed for this book. They all have the millionaire mind, yet they believe it's possible to enjoy life and still become wealthy. They believe that financial independence and much economic success can be achieved without adopting a Spartan lifestyle. But there must be certain constraints, as discussed later in this book. Some people are not controlled by credit institutions. For them it is just the opposite, they are controlled by greed. They are misers. They even shortchange their spouses and children. Money is their god. These people are not of the millionaire mind. Another millionaire who has the proper perspective said, "I taught my sons and daughters that money is not their god. You control it, not let it control you." Most of the people profiled in this book became economic successes in one generation. They came from economic ground zero. Most inherited no money. They never received the proceeds of an estate or income from a trust account. How did they do it? Again, they are of the millionaire mind. You may never be able to generate the sizable incomes that many of these millionaires have earned. You may not become a multimillionaire in a few short years. But you can still benefit from understanding how these people maintained an enjoyable lifestyle at the same time they were accumulating wealth. Only a few people, even those with high incomes, know how this can be accomplished. Those with the millionaire mind know how, and they are profiled in this book. The search. The research conducted for my earlier book, The Millionaire Next Door, and the results reported therein have expanded the knowledge about the characteristics of America's most affluent people. I decided to broaden the size and scope of my next study to include many more participants from a significantly wealthier population base. The new survey also focused on a different set of attributes and lifestyles, designed to project a deeper, more comprehensive look at the millionaire mind. The results of that study are presented in the following chapters. It is a lot easier to profile the characteristics of people who have the millionaire mind than it is to find them. Why not survey all the households in America? Because only about 4.9% of the households in this country have a net worth of $1 million or more. Nor can you just survey all the people who live in expensive homes. Often these big homeowners are what I call income statement affluent. They have big incomes, big homes, big debt, but little net worth. They are experts at preparing loan applications, most of which do not ask about one's real level of net worth. In sharp contrast, there are those whom I call balance sheet affluent. These people are of the millionaire mind. They focus upon accumulating wealth. Their assets greatly exceed their credit liabilities. Often they have little or no outstanding credit balances. If I surveyed people who live in fine homes nationwide, what would I find? Too many income statement affluent respondents. Yet I always believed that certain types of neighborhoods attract the balance sheet variety and retain those with the millionaire mind, and these same neighborhoods might be unattractive to the income statement affluent. My hypothesis was confirmed by the results of the survey conducted for this book. In order to help develop a representative sample of people with millionaire minds, the balance sheet affluent, I sought advice from my friend and associate John Robin. He is the foremost authority on geodemography, the term used to describe the study of the characteristics of people within defined geographic areas. Often these areas are at the zip code level, but for my survey I wanted to get down to an even smaller level, neighborhoods or block groups. Some of these neighborhoods had fewer than 50 households. I told John about my problem, and he solved it in short order. John is a Harvard-trained mathematician and a brilliant researcher, and his geodemographic database is also extraordinary. He developed a sophisticated mathematical model that estimates the net worth characteristics for most block groups/neighborhoods in America. John found that some neighborhoods have high concentrations of people who have substantial investment income and thus would have the millionaire mindset. From his national database of 226,399 neighborhoods, John selected 2,487. His mathematical model predicted that these would contain high concentrations of people who were actually wealthy, as opposed to those who had big homes with big mortgages but low net worth. A national sample was generated by randomly selecting 5,063 households from those neighborhoods. 1 Each household selected was sent a questionnaire. Of the 1,001 fully completed responses, 733 were from millionaires. Each had a net worth of $1 million or more. This national survey of 733 millionaires provided much of the empirical base for this book. Most of the respondents lived in old, well-established, upper-middle-class neighborhoods, in homes built in the 1950s or even in the 1940s or earlier. What? No homes with 5 jacuzzis? What? No flashy new subdivisions or newly developed suburban estates? Could it be that those with the millionaire mindset are not trendy when it comes to selecting homes and neighborhoods? It seems that's the case. Plus, most of the respondents had either small outstanding balances on their home mortgages or no mortgages at all. The methodology of how each respondent was selected on a random basis was described earlier in an article. See Thomas J. Stanley and Murphy A. Sewell, The Response of Affluent Consumers to Mall Surveys, Journal of Advertising Research, June-July 1986, pages 55 to 58. The 9-page questionnaire completed by each respondent contained 277 questions. This project was the most comprehensive I have undertaken. The survey data were collected and tabulated by one of the premier survey organizations in America, the Survey Research Center, Institute for Behavioral Research, University of Georgia in Athens. 2 The center also did the univariate and multivariate computer analyses of the data. Earlier, the questionnaire and survey methodology were pre-tested on an ad hoc sample of 638 millionaires. All had income statements and balance sheet characteristics that would qualify them for jumbo mortgages. This pre-test survey was conducted by the author and his staff. In addition, important case studies were developed from a series of personal interviews and focus groups. These cases are detailed throughout the book, and they provide an important piece of the puzzle. For it isn't easy to develop a full understanding of the millionaire mind. The results summarized in this book are intended to help people develop an understanding and appreciation of the meaning of a balanced lifestyle. A demographic sketch. A demographic overview of the survey results follows below. Expanding and broadening the portrait of America's self-made millionaires provided in The Millionaire Next Door, here is a sketch, in their own voices, of our most economically productive men and women. A traditional family. I am a 54-year-old male. I have been married to the same woman for 28 years. 1 in 4 of us has been with the same spouse for 38 or more years. On average, we have 3 children. Most of us, 92%, are married. And of those married, 95% have children. Only 2% of us have never been married. About 3% are widowed. Wealth, income, and some artifacts. We are financially well off. On average, our households have a net worth of approximately $9.2 million. The typical or median level of net worth is $4.3 million. The average figure is skewed in an upward direction by those respondents who have very high levels of wealth. Our household's total annual realized income is $749,000. The median income figure is $436,000. Those of us who have incomes of $1 million or more, 20%, skew the average upward. In spite of our wealth and income, the typical member of our group has never spent more than $41,000 for an automobile or $4,500 for an engagement ring. Neither our spouses nor we have ever spent more than $38, including tip, for a haircut. Fully 1 in 4 of us has never spent more than $24 for a haircut, $340,000 for a home, $30,900 for a motor vehicle, or $1,500 for an engagement ring. Some of us, about 7% of those who are married, did not have to purchase an engagement ring. It was passed down from one of our relatives. About inherited wealth. We live in fine homes in quality neighborhoods, but only 2% of us inherited all or any part of our homes and property. Some of us have inherited a portion of our wealth. Nearly 8% inherited 50% or more of their net worth. In sharp contrast, 61% of us never received any inheritance, financial gifts, or income from an estate or trust. Some names and places. We can be found in more than 2,000 well-established, older neighborhoods in towns and cities with such names as Shawnee Mission, Kansas, 66208, New Canaan, Connecticut, 06840, Richmond, Virginia, 23224, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15238, Fort Worth, Texas, 76107, Kenilworth, Illinois, 60043, Columbus, Ohio, 43209, Atlanta, Georgia, 30327, Summit, New Jersey, 07901, Englewood, Colorado, 80110, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, 74137. Home style. Nearly all of us, 97%, are homeowners. About 12 years ago we purchased our current home for an average price of $558,718. The median price was $435,000. We have enjoyed reasonably good appreciation on our home. On average, it is currently worth $1,381,729. The current median value is approximately $750,000. Thus, we have benefited financially and added to our net worth by the appreciation of our homes. In spite of the high value of our homes, we generally have small outstanding mortgage balances. Most of us, 61%, live in homes that are currently valued at over $1 million. But only 1 in 4, 25%, paid $1 million or more for our current homes. 1 in 10 of us purchased a home in the 3 years that followed the stock market plunge of 1987. Many of us who did were searching for a foreclosure. We live in a home that was constructed 40 years ago, median year. Fully 1 in 4 of us live in homes that were built before 1936. Only about 10% of us live in homes that were built in the past 10 years. The majority, 53%, of us have not moved in the past 10 years. Only 23% of our group has moved 2 or more times during the same period. Only a minority, 27%, of our group has ever had a home of any type built for them. We of the Millionaire Mind believe that it's better to purchase an existing home than to get into the building business. It is much less time-consuming and probably costs less to purchase homes out of existing inventory. Who among us are the least likely to have homes built for them? Attorneys. We have to wonder why they are so reluctant to build. Our vocations. About 1 in 3, 32%, of us are business owners or entrepreneurs. Nearly 1 in 5, 16%, are senior corporate executives. 1 in 10, 10%, of our group are attorneys. Nearly the same proportion, 9%, are physicians. The other 1/3 of our population is composed of retirees, corporate middle managers, accountants, sales professionals or new business development officers, engineers, architects, teachers, professors, and housewives. Business owners overall are the richest of our group, but senior executives are often among the ranks of multimillionaires. They account for 16% of the millionaires but for nearly 26% of the decamillionaires, those with net worths of $10 million or more. Nearly 50% of our wives do not work outside the home. Those who are employed are business owners or entrepreneurs, 7%, sales professionals, 5%, corporate middle managers, 4%, attorneys, 4%, teachers, 3%, senior corporate executives, 3%, and physicians, 2%. About 16% of wives who were employed outside the home are currently retired. About 2/3 of us who are decamillionaires report that their wives do not work outside the home. About 1/2 of those wives who do work part-time. Education. We are well educated. Fully 90% of us are college graduates. More than 1/2, 52%, hold advanced degrees. A brief look inside the millionaire mind. In addition to the demographic characteristics listed above, my survey provided the following glimpse into the millionaire mind. The chapters that follow expand this glimpse into a detailed portrait. We are financially independent, yet we tend to live a comfortable, not extravagant, lifestyle. Many of us cluster in certain upper-middle-class neighborhoods throughout America. We live in fine homes, but we have little or no debt. We tend to buy homes when many others are selling. Almost all of us are married and have children. In fact, most of us believe that having a family complements, not competes with the process of building wealth. We are self-made affluent. On average, we vacation overseas about once every 2 years. Few of us have Phi Beta Kappa keys or scored 1,400 or higher on the SATs. Most of us love our chosen vocations, or, as one of our wealthier members stated, it is not work, it is a labor of love. Few of us found it necessary to get out of bed at 3 o'clock or 4 a.m. each workday in order to accumulate wealth. Many of us play golf and or tennis on a regular basis. In fact, there is a strong correlation between playing golf and level of net worth. We must admit that we are not into do-it-yourself tasks. Those among us who tend to have significantly less wealth than the average for our group. We became rich without compromising our integrity. In fact, we credit our integrity with significantly contributing to our success. We are not workaholics, and we spend a lot of time socializing with friends and family. When we work hard. We focus our energy to maximize the return on our efforts. We do spend time planning our investments and often consult with tax advisors. But many of us also have time to attend religious services and are active in raising funds for noble causes. We believe that it is more than just possible to balance one's financial goals with an enjoyable lifestyle. There is a positive correlation between the number of lifestyle activities that we take part in and our level of net worth. Often our lifestyle activities bring us into contact with people who eventually become clients, customers, patients, suppliers, or great friends. For many of our activities, we have found the old adage to be true: the best things in life are free, or at least reasonably priced. It doesn't cost much to attend your son or daughter's sporting event, visit a museum, or play bridge with good friends. It's much less than a trip to a casino. Success Factors. In Chapter 2, Success Factors, millionaires speak their minds about the factors they rate as being very important in explaining their economic success. Their views may surprise some people. The factors they give credit to are at odds with many popularly held notions. Their views are especially different from the stereotypical profiles portrayed as reality by Hollywood. Good looks and a supermodel's figure were never mentioned by even one millionaire respondent. Not once. Many well-intentioned parents, mentors, and teachers and even some of Wall Street's best gurus are out of sync with the opinions held by most millionaires. And what about all those advertisements for lotto and Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes? Millionaires have a different explanation for their successes. What are the top 5 factors most often mentioned by millionaires as being very important in explaining their economic success? After you read them below, take out a card or small piece of paper and write down these 5 elements of financial success. Keep the list with you in your wallet or purse and paste a copy on your television. Then the next time you see an advertisement for a lotto game, magazine sweepstakes, or casino, glance at the list. The ads tell you that you can hit it big with one of these gambles, but what does the list say? The foundation stones of financial success are integrity, being honest with all people. Discipline, applying self-control. Social skills, getting along with people. A supportive spouse. Hard work, more than most people. Where does the element of luck rank? It's near the bottom of the list of 30 success factors, at number 27. But in this context, the millionaires were referring more to uncontrollable factors, such as the economy, that can and do impact one's net worth. Not one millionaire I interviewed had anything nice to say about gambling. A more detailed discussion of gambling habits or lack of them is given in Chapter 9, The Lifestyles of Millionaires, Real versus Imagined. Some may argue that many people, not just the millionaires in this country, have the 5 success elements mentioned above, but they are not millionaires today. These 5 are basic elements. What if you lack one or more of them? According to the large sample of millionaires studied, the odds will be against your becoming an economic success. But if you have these plus a few others, you may become wealthy in the future, if you are not already rich. Once again, allow the millionaires to speak for themselves. How did we become millionaires in one generation? Most of us saw an economic opportunity that others just ignored, and we had a willingness to take financial risk given the promise of good return. This is especially true for those of us who are self-employed. But we know there is a strong correlation between one's willingness to take financial risk and one's level of wealth. It is less about investing in the stock market and much more about investing in ourselves, our careers, our professional practices, our private businesses, and so forth. Most of us will say that we have strong leadership qualities. We have the ability to sell our ideas to our employees and suppliers, and our products to carefully targeted audiences. Why has the American economy been so generous in rewarding U.S.? Because we provide a product or service that has strong demand but few suppliers to fulfill that demand. We do not follow the crowd. That applies both to what we sell and how we invest. Intellectually gifted. Are millionaires intellectually gifted? Were they all Phi Beta Kappa graduates of top-rated colleges? It is a common belief that people who are intellectually gifted have high analytical intelligence. In turn, analytical intelligence is supposedly measured by standardized IQ tests. Instead of using IQ scores, I have substituted the more readily available SAT scores in my survey. There is a positive correlation between these two measures. Also, I have found that millionaires' self-assessment of their analytical intelligence, their SAT performance, and their college grades are related. Table 1-1. The academic record of millionaires, undergraduate college grade point average 3, GPA, and SAT score. Occupational categories. Academic measures business owner/entrepreneur senior corporate executive attorney physician other all millionaires. Mean 32%, 16%, 10%, 9%, 33%, 100%. Grade point average. N equals 715, 2.76, 2.93, 3.04, 3.12, 2.96, 2.92. SAT score. N equals 444, 1235, 1211, 1262, 1267, 1090, 1190. Do millionaires believe that they have superior intelligence? Even more basic, how important is intelligence in explaining variations in economic success? These and many related questions are detailed in both Chapter 2, Success Factors, and Chapter 3, School Days. As an introduction to these topics, consider the following facts about millionaires. Being well educated does not mean that we all graduated with high honors from college. Our undergraduate grade point average, GPA, was 2.92 on a 4.00 point scale, as shown in Table 1.1. Our average SAT score of 1190 is significantly above the norm, but not considered high enough to gain admittance to so-called selective or competitive undergraduate colleges. Most of us did not attend such schools. Nor, when surveyed, did we indicate that graduating from a top-rated college was important in explaining our economic success. But even the 1190 SAT number may be a bit inflated. Nearly 90% of our cohort who were students in college did recall and thus reported their SAT scores. Ironically, only about one-half of our group who were C students were able to recall their SAT scores. We know that SAT scores and GPAs are significantly correlated. What if the 1190 number were adjusted to reflect the expected SAT scores of those C students who could not recall their SAT number? It is estimated that nearly 100 points could be shaved off the 1190 average. Most of us have been told by some authority figure or by the results of standardized test scores that we were not intellectually gifted, of law school caliber, medical school material, qualified to pursue an MBA degree, smart enough to succeed. We often wonder how we as a group ever became so financially successful, given the fact that few of us were ever designated intellectually gifted. Thus, we question the relationship between intellect, academic performance, and economic success. Are we successful in spite of our intellect, or because we always felt that we had to work harder to compensate for our deficiencies? Assigned reading. You can increase your understanding of the less than substantial relationship between intellect/analytical intelligence and various measures of success by reading Robert J. Sternberg's Successful Intelligence, New York, Simon & Schuster, 1996. Dr. Sternberg, a leading authority on human intelligence, has found that successful intelligence has three components, and analytical intelligence is just one. The others are creative intelligence and practical intelligence, or common sense. Could it be that most millionaires are economically successful because they are creative and have a lot of common sense? This and related questions are addressed throughout the Millionaire Mind. School days. What school and college experiences influenced millionaires in becoming economically productive adults? The answer to this question is detailed in Chapter 3, School Days, but it's clear that millionaires learn much more in school than what was presented in textbooks. Most tell us they learned something about tenacity, getting along with people, self-discipline, and discernment. A good portion of the millionaire population is made up of people who worked hard in school but did not graduate with all A's. Those millionaires whose SATs were not spectacular are given a special place in this book. I profile them under the heading of the 900 Club. Only millionaires who scored under 1,000 on the SAT were admitted. They say that some of us scored under 1,000 on the SAT, yet we became millionaires. What school and college experiences influenced us in becoming economically productive adults? Fully 72% of our 900 club members said it was learning to fight for our goals because someone labeled us as having average or less ability. The vast majority of us believe that we benefited from the educational experience. Most of us, 93%, indicated that our school and college experience was influential in determining that hard work was more important than genetic high intellect in achieving. Most of us also felt that school was important in enhancing our abilities to properly allocate time and make accurate judgments about people. The millionaire population contains many people who were not straight-A students, but they did learn a lot in school. It wasn't just the core courses that were key. Discipline 101 and Tenacity 102 were also important parts of the school experience. Opportunity and How to Find It, a profile of Warren Buffett. One self-described average student believes so strongly that people like him must find their own opportunities that he has created a scholarship to try to replicate his own experience. Warren Buffett has created a $1 million scholarship fund at his old high school in Minneapolis. Each year, 10 students with average grades, good attendance, and a positive attitude receive about half the cost of their college education at a state school. He hopes they will work to earn the rest. And he wants them to live on campus, so they will have close contact with people from different backgrounds. Why does Mr. Buffett put so much faith in those students who are often academically overlooked? The smart kids, sometimes it's too easy for them, he says. Sometimes they miss opportunities because they don't have to get involved and work so hard. The average kids get involved and come across more opportunities. Mr. Buffett emphasizes the word opportunities. He hopes a college education will expose these kids to more of them, and he thinks they're the type who will know how to take advantage of them. I think success really involves the situations you get yourself into and the people you meet, he says. No one can be successful by themselves. It's the relationships that you develop with the people around you. Throughout my life, I've had people who helped me do better. Mr. Buffett is Vice President of Investor Relations for Advanced Biosurfaces in Minnetonka, Minnesota. The company is developing a polymer, currently in clinical trials outside the United States, that is injected into the knee joint to help people with osteoarthritis avoid total knee replacement. This is the 7th medical device company for which Mr. Buffett has been involved in startup and initial financing. How did an average student end up finding cutting-edge medical companies and taking them public, or selling them for millions of dollars to huge conglomerates? When he attended Roosevelt High, his family didn't have a lot of money. He was raised by his mother, who worked 12-hour days at a dry cleaning store. He worked at a gas station at night. Watching his mother provided him with a foundation for discipline and hard work that made him stick it out through high school even though he didn't excel academically. If you want to succeed, you have to be there, he says. I was not a great student, and I didn't study much, but I went there every day. A high school counselor was the first of those people who pointed him toward opportunity. The counselor convinced the senior to take an 11th hour SAT. The results? Not great, but good enough to get into a 4-year state school. I had no intention of going to college, he says. No Buffett had ever gone. But the counselor changed all that and the direction of Mr. Buffett's life. He also helped him get a job at Morehead State University to help him pay his way through school. Mr. Buffett lived in a college dorm, and the students and professors with whom he came into contact there showed him another path through life. I wasn't a great student, he says. I ended up with a C+ or B average. But without this counselor guiding me to go to college, I would have taken a full-time job at the gas station. The scholarships are Mr. Buffett's way of giving back to Roosevelt High School. After college, he found a job in sales in the medical device industry. He worked his way up, started his own company, and got involved in investments in medical startup companies. His advice to average students. It sounds like a cliché, but it's the effort you put in, it's how hard you work, Bielk says. Honesty is important, too. People will invest in you if they believe you are honest and hardworking. That's what happened to me. Somewhere I read, it's not really how smart you are, it's how you are smart. I can't tell you how many PhDs I've had working for me. They are very, very smart people, very good at their specialties, he says. But they're working for me. You've got to take advantage of the different opportunities that present themselves to you in life. Not at the top. Wrong. One of our most economically productive citizens recently passed away. In his biography, several key items about his college experience are important to mention. Consider the following quotes. He did not finish at the top of his class. But not for lack of trying. Grades did not come easily. And even one of his professors said, I would not have expected him, Roberto Goizueta, to become chief executive of the Coca-Cola Company. David Gracing, I'd like the world to buy a Coke. New York, John Wiley & Sons Incorporated, 1997, pages 14 to 15. Could it be that Mr. Goizueta learned much more in college than he was given credit for on his grade transcript? Courage and wealth. What do most self-made millionaires have in common? They have courage. Do you have the courage to take financial risk, given the right return? If you do, then you have the mindset that most millionaires possess. But having the courage to take financial risk doesn't mean that millionaires are gamblers. Few gamble at all. In fact, the higher a millionaire's net worth, the less likely he is to ever gamble. Yet there is a positive correlation between taking financial risk and net worth. Obviously, gambling and financial risk-taking are not the same type of behavior. The most basic form of financial risk-taking relates to choice of occupation, or vocation. A disproportionately high percentage of millionaires, multimillionaires, and decamillionaires are self-employed business owners and entrepreneurs or self-employed professionals. What is so risky about being self-employed? You are on your own and there is no employer backing you up. If you fail to deliver what the market demands, you may be out of business tomorrow. Worse, you may lose every dollar you have in assets. Those who have the millionaire mind look at being self-employed in a much different way than the scenario of failure, given above. They are of the mindset that it is risky not to be self-employed. Being self-employed means that you are in control of your own destiny. Profits that are made are yours. And there is no real ceiling on how much you can make. The millionaire said, we think of success, not of failure. We take risk but we study the probable outcomes. And we do everything we can to enhance the odds of generating returns. How do we eliminate or reduce fear and worry and bolster our courage? We practice believing in ourselves and hard work. How do we bolster our belief in ourselves? We focus on key issues, we prepare and plan to succeed, and we are well organized to deal with big issues. Some of us have conditioned our minds to offset fears and certain limitations through the mental toughness we developed playing competitive sports. There are a good number among us who have compensated for deficiencies by having what we call the athlete's heart. This term refers to both physical and mental tenacity and courage. Nearly 4 in 10, 37%, of us reduce the fears and worries associated with making critical decisions about financial resources in another way. We call upon our strong religious faith. In fact, those among us who have strong religious faith have a higher propensity to take financial risk than others. Vocation, vocation, vocation. According to Webster's dictionary, the term ace denotes one who excels at something. It is also a title given to combat pilots who have at least 5 in-air victories. World War II produced more fighter pilot aces than any other conflict, with 1,285 pilots earning the title during this period. The Last Ace, Wall Street Journal, January 29, 1999, pW 11. How did they accomplish this feat? Most did it the traditional way, in dogfights. Many were eventually shot down themselves. But at least 2 did it quite differently. Their unique method and rationale for its use have significance for people who want to become economically productive. Like the 2 aces, the majority of millionaires surveyed became economic successes because they learned to focus their energies and other resources in ways that maximized their output. But what drove them to this focused approach? Both of the pilots who did it differently were more than aces. See Raymond F. Tolliver and Trevor J. Constable, The Blonde Knight of Germany, Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania, Arrow Books, 1970. 1. Major Erich Hartmann is known in military literature as the Ace of Aces. He had 352 confirmed in-air victories. The other pilot who had the same unique strategy was Sergeant Paul Rossmann, Hartmann's mentor. He himself had more than 80 victories. It was Rossmann who invented the approach that ultimately led to Hartmann's extraordinary success. Early in his career, Rossmann suffered an injury to his arm that never healed, and he was unable to dogfight. In a typical dogfight, victory goes to those with superior physical strength. Rossmann knew he could never survive this kind of battle, so he developed a compensating technique. Substituting a much more calculating method for the macho dogfighting strategy, he carefully planned each and every attack. He spent much more time analyzing various targets of opportunity than actually firing bullets at his quarry. He attacked only when he was in the best possible position to win. Then he would focus all his resources at the ideal target, the one that would give him the maximum return on his investment. Hartmann credits Rossmann's approach, the see and decide prior to firing method, with his own success. It also explains how Hartmann survived 1,425 combat missions, yet he was never even wounded. What does all this have to do with becoming an economic success in America? Most millionaires understand that they have certain limitations, and they developed an understanding of their strengths and limitations before they even finished school. Like Rossmann, they realized that they had some type of injured arm, some type of limitation. So they developed their own unique strategy for becoming economically productive. Most millionaires, for example, are not intellectually gifted in an analytical sense. They did not receive all A's in school, nor were they in the 1400 and above SAT club. That's why they decided not to compete in macho dogfight environments where superior analytical intelligence is a requirement to succeed. These same people usually did not score high enough on the standardized tests that are requirements for law school, medical school, or graduate school. Many millionaires did not have a high enough grade point average to be hired by major corporations. But they still wanted to become economically successful, so many chose to be self-employed. They hired themselves when other employers would not. Many millionaires who designated themselves as other than intellectually gifted are, in fact, gifted in other ways. They have an abundance of common sense, and they have what some call creativity. How else can we explain their ability to discover economic opportunities that most so-called geniuses were unable to see? After studying millionaires for more than 20 years, I have concluded that if you make one major decision correctly, you can become economically productive. If you are creative enough to select the ideal vocation, you can win big time. The really brilliant millionaires are those who selected a vocation that they love, one that has few competitors but generates high profits. Selecting a vocation is like building a home. If you build in a less than ideal location, if your ground is sand or swampland, nothing else matters. You can spend millions on what is above ground, but it won't matter, your home is unstable. You will be in a constant dogfight with shifting sand, water, and swamp. It is a battle you cannot win. But if your foundation is on bedrock, your home will easily withstand wind and rain. You are insulated from the dogfight with the elements. What if you select the bedrock foundation of the ideal vocation? You love the products that you produce. You have affection for your customers and suppliers. In addition, you know more about your niche market than anyone else. And your customers don't care if you were a C student in college. To them you are the one who is enlightened. So perhaps you should feel sorry for those superior students, the intellectually gifted. Often, those who are told they are gifted feel economically invincible. Too often they assume that superior intellect will translate into superior income and levels of wealth. But those who believe this are in for a rude wake-up call. Too many select vocations that are filled with competitors, all of whom also have high analytical intellect. They may be one of hundreds of thousands of MBAs who graduated in the past 20 years. They were hired by major corporations because they did a great work at fine business schools. Perhaps they went directly from those schools into the dogfight. Unknowingly, they entered a sector of our economy where there are very few top dogs and CEOs. Just ask a sample of middle-aged MBAs how many dogfights they've been in the past 20 years. How many were shot down or had their jobs eliminated? Sure, they were all bright. But they forgot one thing, choice of vocation. Where you will fight is much more important in winning than what you do once the dogfight begins. Even some of the best and brightest MBA students I have ever taught lost most of their dogfights. Why not select a vocation and target where you can more easily emerge as the winner? It is easier to love what you do for a living when you win most of the time, if not all the time. What do most millionaires tell me they learned in their salad years? They learned to think differently from the crowd. Much of this book has been designed around that central theme, it pays to be different. The millionaires say, how did we become wealthy in one generation? It has a lot to do with our selection of the right vocation. Thus, the laws of economics and psychology are in our favor. Otherwise, we'd be swimming against the tide. We believe that a minority of people in the general population can honestly say their current vocation allows them full use of their abilities and aptitudes. But we are different. We are of the millionaire mind. We were wise in selecting the ideal vocation given our abilities, aptitudes, and strong interest in becoming financially independent. Was our ideal vocation suggested by an employment agent or headhunter? Only 3% of us did it that way. Nor did we discover it at a job fair. Many of us are intuitive as well as creative. How else could we select such wonderful economic opportunities? Choice of spouse. It's a popular notion, if you want to become wealthy, just marry a millionaire. Or you can marry the son or daughter of a millionaire couple. Eventually, your spouse will inherit a pot of gold, and, you assume, your husband or wife will share this wealth with you. Or perhaps it's much simpler and more productive not to marry at all. That way you won't have to share your economic resources with a spouse and children. The data strongly indicate that neither of these hypotheses is true. Yes, choice of spouse is important in accounting for variations in wealth, but most millionaires did not select their spouse because of his or her wealth characteristics. Nor were they even initially attracted to their husbands or wives because their parents had money. In fact, the wealth factor was not even rated by our millionaires as an important quality of a spouse that contributed to a successful marriage. Yet there is a substantial correlation between the number of years a couple is married and the wealth they accumulate. And a large majority, 92%, of millionaires are married. Only 2% have never been married, and about 2% are currently divorced or separated. The rest are widowed. Are there certain economies of scale associated with being married, as opposed to being single? The data clearly show that the answer is yes. Does this mean that the two-career couple is the prototypical millionaire household? Not at all. In fact, the higher a couple's net worth, the more likely it is that the wife does not work outside the home. Contrast this with married couple households that produce high income but are not in the millionaire league. Nearly 70% of the wives in those households work outside the home. They are employed as teachers, sales professionals, middle-level corporate executives, and attorneys. Only about 1 wife in 3 in the decamillionaire households works outside the home. The millionaires tell us. The typical couple in our millionaire group has been married for 28 years. Most of us, 8 out of 10, believe that having a supportive spouse was either very important or important in accounting for our economic success. What qualities initially interested us in our spouses? What qualities of our spouses are the most important contributors to our successful marriages? It is much more than physical attractiveness. These qualities are complements to building wealth, and they are part of the millionaire mind. These and many other questions are detailed in Chapter 6, Choice of Spouse. A profile of Paulette Rakestraw, CEO and owner, AMS Corporation. As a 21-year-old divorced mother of a toddler, Paulette Rakestraw was building a direct mail business out of her apartment. She certainly was not looking for a spouse when she met her current husband, Vaughn. His caring demeanor and the way he treated her daughter were among the qualities that drew her to him. Today, says the founder of AMS Corporation, he is very family-oriented and likes to spend all his free time with their 3 children. We just clicked, she says. He's real laid back, very go with the flow, just a good companion. Even during the years the two worked together building her business, they got along great. We were together 24 hours a day, we lived together, worked together, but we never fought, she says. Rakestraw started her fulfillment and mailing service business in 1988, after the company she worked for had repeated bad experiences with mailing services. This is ridiculous, she recalls thinking. We're paying a lot of money for this, and it's not rocket science. So she started hiring friends and family to do projects for the company she worked for. Soon other companies were asking her to coordinate mailing projects. I was just determined there was a need for this, and I was going to pursue it, she says. Paulette's and Vaughn's different personalities complement one another. She is a risk taker, he is not. She is inclined toward action, while he encourages thinking about things and taking their time. Sometimes he has to rein me in and I have to push him along, Rakestraw says. It's a good partnership all around, we kind of suit each other and bring each other back to earth. Another difference, he thinks about the money and is a big saver, while she focuses on building the company. My whole drive has always been I like doing this and I want to provide quality service, she says. He always thought, gosh, you could make a lot of money doing this, while my focus through the growth of the company has been service. In the company's infancy, they lived and worked in an apartment with a monthly rent of $325. When she wanted to commit to an $800 a month Yellow Pages ad, he told her she was crazy. I did it anyway, she says. I told him months later when the ad came out, and he was glad because it really made our phones ring. Today the company has many Fortune 500 companies as clients. Instead of an apartment business, the company is in a 50,000 square foot office complex. Specifically, what qualities initially attracted Paulette to her husband. She judged him to be sincere, down-to-earth, polite, affectionate, even-tempered, open-minded, accepting, wise, encouraging, cheerful, and compassionate. And for more than 10 years of marriage her initial judgment has proven to be correct. The economically productive household. Go right ahead, spend a week or a month with these people, the people with the millionaire mind. You will probably conclude that their shopping behavior is a contradiction. First, ask them about their income and net worth. Then ask them about the shopping actions they take to reduce the cost of operating their households. As they stated earlier, on average, our household's total annual realized income is $749,000. We have an average household net worth of $9.2 million. Given these average income and net worth figures, these households are in the top fraction of 1% of the income and wealth distribution in our country. Would you assume that such people don't concern themselves with reducing the cost and enhancing the productivity of their household? So much for assumptions based on wealth and income statistics. In fact, the millionaires say, the majority of us, 70%, regularly have our shoes resoled and repaired. Nearly one-half of us, 48%, regularly have our furniture reupholstered or refinished instead of buying new. About 7 in 10, 71%, develop a shopping list before grocery shopping. Nearly one-half of us buy household supplies in bulk at warehouse stores like Sam's or Costco. What seems like a contradiction to you isn't one to those with the millionaire mind. The millionaire mind is sensitive to the variations in time and money associated with shopping and making purchasing decisions. Ultimately, we find that having shoes resoled is much less costly than buying new. The same applies to refinishing furniture. We firmly believe that time is money. It takes much less time to resole or refinish than shop for new. Most of us have a shopping list before we even enter a supermarket. Not only do we save money and avoid impulse buying, but we also find that our in-store shopping time is greatly reduced if we have a list for minimizing in-store minutes. We prefer to spend the time saved working or with our families or friends, rather than randomly walking and impulsively buying in a supermarket. If you want to run a productive household, start thinking like millionaires. Adopt their mindset. 13 productive actions taken by millionaires, and their rationale for these activities, are discussed in Chapter 7, The Economically Productive Household. The home. Millionaires have told me they were criticized about their choice of home. Why would anyone pay more than $500,000 12 years ago for a home that was 30, 40, even 50 years old? Why would they pay so much for a home that typically had only 4 bedrooms? Many millionaires have 3 children. Where do they put their overnight guests? Given the scenarios above, you might wonder if the millionaire mind comes up a bit short in the real estate section of the brain, but that's not the case. Overall, their homes have appreciated significantly over the past dozen years or so. And these homes tend to be very well constructed. Many are brick or stone, some have slate roofs, most have hardwood floors. Yet there is no doubt about it, these are not modern homes. Why do so many people with the millionaire mind select older homes over newer ones? It has something to do with the quality of neighborhoods where these homes are located. These are homogeneous neighborhoods in terms of the socio-economic characteristics of the residents. 9 in 10 of the residents are college graduates. Most are very successful people. But as a group, these highly productive business owners, corporate executives, attorneys, physicians, and other winners are conservative or traditional in the homes they select. Modern, newer homes are likely to be much larger, with 5, 6, even 8 bedrooms. And don't forget the 20-foot vaulted ceilings, for jacuzzis, and saunas that are all part of the package. How could any millionaire pass up these new homes for something that is so old? Homes are not like automobiles, and millionaires are not like most other people. New does not necessarily translate into better, improved, far superior to last year's model. We are a culture that has been trained to be new sensitive, believing that new is always preferable to old. But those with the millionaire mind are not like most people. There is a distinct downside risk in buying a $1 million home in a brand new subdivision filled with $1 million homes. Who is to say that the homes are really worth the asking price? Where is the history, the price trend data? None exists. What types of people tend to purchase expensive homes in those brand new neighborhoods? They are not bad people, but they tend to be income statement affluent. Again, that is, big income, small net worth. They tend to be enamored with new, and with the many gadgets that are part of the sales strategy associated with new. Who currently lives in the older neighborhoods where the value of a home is $1.4 million? They are different kinds of people. They tend to be balance sheet affluent, with high net worth and little use of consumer credit. This doesn't mean that every single buyer of a new home is income statement affluent. But the numbers are telling. People who accumulate wealth tend to live and buy homes in well-established neighborhoods, and only a minority of millionaires ever have any type of home, primary, secondary, or vacation, built for them. Many of the reasons for this reluctance to build are detailed in Chapter 8, The Home. According to the millionaires themselves, in order to get a good deal on the homes we purchase, we never pay the initial asking price for any home and are willing to walk away from any deal at any time. Most of us have mortgages, but 40% have no mortgage at all. Less than 5% of us have an outstanding mortgage balance of $1 million or more. Only about 1 in 3, 34%, of us have a mortgage balance outstanding of $300,000 or more. What is the median outstanding mortgage balance for those in our millionaire group? It is just under $100,000, or about 7% of the current market value of our homes. We are not, as some people refer to them, credit types. Part of our mindset is to purchase homes that appreciate in value. In turn, part of this appreciation is a function of the high-quality public schools in our area. Sending 3 children to public schools, grades K through 12, saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars over the costs associated with private school expenses. Most people, even those who do not earn anywhere near the incomes we generate, can still benefit from our orientation toward the home. Lifestyle. What activities are millionaires involved in? Remember that, overall, these people are at the top of the income and net worth scales in our nation. They live in homes valued at $1.4 million, located in fine neighborhoods. Their neighbors and friends are successful business owners, senior corporate executives, and top attorneys and physicians. Most are college graduates. In terms of social class, most of our millionaires are part of the upper middle strata. The lifestyle activities they engage in are likely to be quite different than what most people imagine. We don't do the same things that jet-setters and beautiful people do. In fact, some swingers might say our overall activities and interests are mostly from Dullsville. In spite of our economic position, only 3% of us took an ocean cruise around the world last year. Only 4% skied in the Alps. Yet 20% of US did vacation in Paris last year. Of course, some of us who vacationed overseas had their trips partially subsidized by business purposes. What have we done with our non-working time in the past 12 months? Most of us, 85%, consulted with a tax expert, 81% visited a museum, 68% engaged in community/civic activities. Most of us do little or no do-it-yourself activities. Only about 1 in 5, 19%, mowed his or her lawn in the past year. Nor are we likely to be found painting our homes or doing plumbing repairs. The Millionaire Mind tells us to work hard at our main vocation and enjoy the rest of our free time doing what is enjoyable. Our 30-day diary of activities is equally telling. Some may conclude that we are cheap dates, because most of our activities are not costly. Whether you are rich or not, the best things in life are free or close to it. Entertaining friends, studying investments, and watching our children play sports are not expensive activities, yet these are the things that most of us love to do. Our lifestyles are congruent with strengthening relationships with friends and family, and many of our activities are not substitutes for wealth building but complements to it. These and related topics are discussed in detail in Chapter 9, The Lifestyles of Millionaires, Real versus Imagined. 2. Success Factors. Are you confused? America is supposed to be the land of opportunity, but after years of searching and studying opportunities, you're overwhelmed. Everyone you've consulted has a unique formula for becoming an economic success in America, and you've spoken to many, many people. When you ask these people if you can see their balance sheets, the evidence of their net worth, most say that they will be rich tomorrow and their current economic status is totally irrelevant. But it is very relevant to you. You are a seeker of truth. Just what are the factors that underlie financial success in America? Each week you stop by the Quickie Mart and buy gasoline. You pay with cash. As a result, you often get stuck in line with people waiting to buy lotto tickets. So you ask the question of questions, is lotto the way to become rich, economically successful in America? They all tell you the same thing, wealth is all about luck, and lotto is the most direct way to Millionairesville. Yet none of these people appear to be millionaires. Many even have holes in their shoes. Then you stop by your local bank. Again you ask about the road to wealth. The teller says it's all about CDs. While you are in line, a man standing behind you introduces himself. Johnny Brown is an insurance agent. He whispers in your ear, whole life and annuities. He says he can provide you with the key to economic success. Just stop by my office today, he tells you. You decline his offer. Instead, you stop by the local high school because it's your child's parent-teacher day. While you are there, 5 teachers all say the same thing: economic success is a direct mathematical function of one's grades in school. But many of these less successful people were once students. Are they exceptions to the rule? How is it possible that some students are not economically successful? You are now more confused than ever. So you go home to relax. The TV is on and your children are channel surfing. On one of the cable channels a fellow says you can be rich if you listen to his audio tapes. The tapes are specially priced at $399 plus shipping. On the next channel, a woman is selling her professional matchmaking services. She claims the way to Millionairesville is through marriage. Too bad, you are already married. Just then your phone rings. It's a cold-calling stockbroker. He wants to send you his card and other information. While you have him on the phone, you ask him the question of questions about economic success. He tells you that he is the way to wealth in America. He is the only person in America who can sell you shares in a company that just discovered a cure for AIDS. So you ask him to send you a copy of his financial statement. For some reason he hangs up on you. And on it goes. The fellow on the radio this morning says you get rich with soybean futures. The lady who owns the local jewelry store tells you the key is owning investment-grade gems. The local antiques dealer says, you just can't believe how many people have become rich in the antiques business. Members of your son's rock band tell you, it's all about rock and roll. Most of the kids on the high school basketball team tell you that wealth in America is a sure thing if you are an athlete. On a special Saturday last fall, the kids lining up to take the SAT told you, it's the SAT numbers. Score big and you go to a great college and then get big bucks later in life. Mr. Aladdin, down at the lighting store, promises something different. If you buy his special brand of lamp, a genie will appear and make you richer than you can imagine. It is very confusing, all this information about the keys to becoming economically successful. How did millionaires become rich in America? The best way to answer this question is to ask them. What factors explain your economic success? The 733 millionaires who responded to my survey were asked to rate 30 success factors. The list is not an exhaustive one, it was distilled from more than 100 success factors mentioned by millionaires who participated in a series of preliminary personal and focus group interviews I conducted. However, the 30 success factors selected were among those most often mentioned and represented many redundant factors. Table 2.1 presents the results. Most millionaires place importance on pathways to success that are far different from those cited earlier. Becoming wealthy is the product of elements that are more fundamental than soybeans, life insurance, or the lotto. It's even more basic than grade point average, SAT scores, or graduating at the top of one's class, as the list demonstrates. The following sections discuss these real success factors in detail. I have grouped them into response clusters as follows. Social skills. Getting along with people. Having strong leadership qualities. Having an ability to sell my ideas, products, etc. Having good mentors. Orientation toward critics. Ignoring the criticism of detractors. Having a competitive spirit or personality. Having the urge to be well respected. Table 2.1. Millionaire success factors, N equals 733. Percentage of millionaires indicating factor very important, rank 4. Being honest with all people 57, 33, 15. Being well disciplined 57, 38, 15. Getting along with people 56, 38, 3. Having a supportive spouse 49, 32, 4. Working harder than most people 47, 41, 5. Loving my career/business 46, 46. Having strong leadership qualities 41, 43, 7. Having a very competitive spirit/personality 38, 43, 8. Being very well organized 36, 49, 9. Having an ability to sell my ideas/products 35, 47, 105. Making wise investments 35, 41, 105. Seeing opportunities others do not see 32, 40, 12. Being my own boss 29, 36, 135. Willing to take financial risk given the right return 29, 45, 135. Having good mentors 27, 46, 155. Having an urge to be well respected 27, 42, 155. Investing in my own business 26, 28, 17. Finding a profitable niche 23, 46, 185. Having extraordinary energy 23, 48, 185. Being physically fit 21, 44, 20. Having a high IQ/superior intellect 20, 47, 21. Specializing 17, 36, 22. Attending a top-rated college 15, 33, 23. Ignoring the criticism of detractors 14, 37, 245. Living below my means 14, 29, 245. Having strong religious faith 13, 20, 26. Being lucky 12, 35, 275. Investing in the equities of public corporations 12, 30, 275. Having excellent investment advisors 11, 28, 29. Graduating near/at top of my class 11, 22, 30. Having extraordinary energy. Being physically fit. Integrity and moral values. Being honest with all people. Having a supportive spouse. Having strong religious faith. Creative intelligence. Seeing opportunities others do not see. Finding a profitable niche. Specializing. Loving my career or business. Investing, the stock market or one's own business. Investing in the equities of public corporations. Having excellent investment advisors. Making wise investments. Investing in my own business. Being my own boss. Willing to take financial risk given the right return. Living below my means. Luck versus discipline. Being lucky. Being well disciplined. Being very well organized. Working harder than most people. Intellectual orientation. Having a high IQ/superior intellect. Attending a top-rated college. Graduating near/at the top of my class. The intellectual orientation is of particular interest. I have compared it to the social skills cluster, and to the clusters concerned with orientation toward critics, integrity, and creative intelligence. Although many people would predict that intellectual orientation, high IQ and such, would outrank the factors in each of these clusters, the data prove exactly the opposite. The dawning in Birmingham, high intellect versus social skills. I arrived in Birmingham, Alabama, just before dawn on a foggy winter Monday. My seminar was scheduled to begin at 8:30 a.m., but I arrived nearly an hour early and had the opportunity to chat with some of the 200 executives in attendance during the pre-seminar continental breakfast. A senior sales executive, I'll call him Hugh, told me that he had played for Coach Paul "Bear" Bryant at Alabama. During our conversation I learned a great deal about the factors that accounted for this executive's success in business. I wasn't surprised by some of the things Hugh told me. He mentioned that there were several other executives in the room who had played football for the Bear, and I recalled meeting others all over America who played football for Coach Bryant. There was something particularly compelling about Paul "Bear" Bryant's extraordinary achievements. His teams won many football championships, and were often number one. Even before I met Hugh that foggy winter morning, I recognized that productivity was Coach Bryant's hallmark. He established a superlative record without being number one in spending or by recruiting talent from 50 states. I wanted to ask why Coach Bryant was so successful, but thought it might take hours for this former football player to respond. So I asked Hugh a different question. What was the first thing Coach Bryant said to you and the other scholarship athletes after you arrived on campus? Surprisingly, Coach Bryant asked the group, "Have you called your folks yet to thank them?" According to Hugh, after hearing those words the players looked confused. Most had their mouths open. They looked at one another with disbelief. Apparently not one of them had anticipated this question. These freshman athletes had been on campus less than 24 hours, but they already had their first lesson in team productivity. I understand that no one in the room that day acknowledged having called home with words of thanks. What was the essence of this lesson? Hugh said that Coach Bryant followed up his initial question with a second statement. No one ever got to this level without the help of others. Call your folks. Thank them. In other words, the coach had news for these gifted freshmen. Extraordinary natural athletic talent does not fully account for success in football. Without their folks nurturing, protecting, and sacrificing for them, they would not have had the opportunity to play football at Alabama. Hugh told me that he never forgot this initial experience. It served him and his teammates well during 4 very successful years playing football. He also gives much credit to this and related lessons from the coach for his success and achievements in business. It's rare that anyone becomes successful without the assistance of others. A group of individuals, no matter how gifted, is not a team at all. How many running backs became All-Americans without their linemen opening up opportunities? 0. Becoming wealthy in America is very similar. I have never met one affluent person who takes complete credit for his economic success. Most will give credit to their spouse, key employees, mentors, and others. No man or woman is an island, whether the context is sports, business, or building wealth. Nobody gets to the highest peaks without the help of others. It may be relatively easy to perform well when certain conditions are present. You may be on a very talented team playing much weaker opponents, or your business and net worth may be skyrocketing under favorable economic conditions. But what if the opponent is very strong or market conditions are unfavorable to your business? Then you won't even have a chance to win if you don't seek and nurture important human resources. Without such support, you will probably be overwhelmed. Fear and worry will set in. Fear is the mother of panic, and panic is the precursor of bad decisions and ultimate failure. As demonstrated in my survey, throughout life most successful people go out of their way to attract, motivate, appreciate, and nurture key advisors, suppliers, and employees. Superior social skills versus superior intellect. Note how valuable the coach's message was in view of the results of this survey of a large number of economically productive adults, millionaires. How do they account for their enormous productivity? Is it a matter of being born with superior intellect? Not at all. Nearly all of the millionaires surveyed, 94%, rated getting along with people as either very important, 56%, or important, 38%, in accounting for their economic success, see Table 2.2. Based on the percentage of respondents who rated it as very important, this factor ranked third in overall importance relative to the other 29 success factors studied. So whether it be in sports or business, one's ability to get along is critical. Yet far too many of us believe that success is predetermined, a direct result of genetics, and that successful people just have higher IQs than those who are less successful. So what if you receive all A's in school and near-perfect SATs? So what if your IQ is in the ozone layer of the intelligence scale? Will these factors assure you of a place among the ranks of America's millionaires? It's doubtful, if you don't get along with people. This is not just my view. The large sample of millionaires surveyed were asked about the importance of intellect in explaining their economic success. As Table 2.2 shows, only 1 in 5, 20%, felt that having a high IQ or superior intellect was very important. Superior intellect ranked 21st on the list. 2 other measures of intellect were found to be highly correlated with this factor. Only about 1 in 10, 11%, indicated that graduating near the top of my class, and only about 1 in 7, 15%, felt that attending a top-rated college were very important elements in explaining their economic success. Table 2.2. Millionaires' success factors, superior intellect versus social skills, N equals 733. Percentage of millionaires indicating factor very important, by occupational categories. Business Senior All. Owner/entrepreneur. 32% corporate executive. 16% attorney. 10% physician. 9% other. 33% 100% rank 6. Intellectual orientation. Having a high IQ/superior intellect 16, 45, 18, 49, 34, 49, 24, 50, 20, 47, 20, 47, 21. Attending a top-rated college 12, 31, 12, 31, 18, 50, 23, 31, 16, 30, 15, 33, 23. Graduating near/at top of my class 5, 16, 8, 22, 26, 34, 20, 29, 8, 24, 11, 22, 30. Social skills. Getting along with people 61, 35, 59, 37, 43, 47, 47, 47, 56, 38, 56, 38, 3. Having strong leadership qualities 45, 43, 43, 39, 29, 51, 37, 43, 35, 43, 41, 43, 7. Having an ability to sell my ideas, products, etc. 45, 47, 41, 50, 16, 46, 17, 46, 35, 45, 35, 47, 107. Having good mentors 28, 43, 29, 51, 18, 56, 30, 52, 26, 43, 27, 46, 157. Some millionaires do feel that their IQ was a factor in their successful achievements, although most others feel just the opposite. This can be accounted for in part by considering the occupational groups that tend to rate their IQ as an important factor. Millionaire attorneys are first in line, followed by physicians. The rationale is obvious because, as a general rule, one must score high on standardized tests to be admitted to either law school or medical school, and these board scores are high correlates of IQ. If the millionaire attorneys and physicians are netted out of the national sample, these two groups combined account for nearly 1 in 5 millionaires. The importance of intellect declines significantly. There is another interesting result of removing the data from attorneys and physicians from the sample. The importance of getting along with people and other social skill factors is even more pronounced. Note that 61% of the millionaires in the business owner or entrepreneur category and 59% of the senior corporate executives feel that getting along with people is very important. A significantly smaller percentage of attorneys, 43%, and physicians, 47%, rated this factor as being very important. This isn't surprising when you consider that a successful executive or business owner is more often part of a team than most attorneys or physicians. But in all vocational categories, social skills overall are rated higher by more respondents than are the intellectual factors. Note the 4 components of the social skills domain listed in Table 2.2. All 4 of these are highly significant correlates. In other words, respondents who rated getting along with people as being important also tended to similarly rate having strong leadership qualities, having an ability to sell my ideas, products, etc., and having good mentors. Good salesmen have an edge. Reflect for a moment and visualize a great coach telling his audience, "You can't get to the next level without the help and cooperation of others." Getting along today is the foundation of becoming a strong leader tomorrow, and leaders, not followers, tend to become economically successful. But to become a leader, you must also have the ability to sell your ideas, your game plan, your dream, your product, or your services. It's no wonder that coaches like Paul Bryant produced so many successful executives by teaching social skills. This is especially true in the field of sales and marketing. Sales professionals cannot achieve or excel, nor will they ever be promoted, without generating revenue. So selling is a lot like football. You win in both environments if you score more points than the competition. The greatest salesman I ever met is William "Billy" Featherstone Gilmore Jr. Mr. Gilmore is a direct descendant of Colonel W. S. Featherstone, a Civil War hero who served with the Army of Northern Virginia. Bill's father was a decorated bomber pilot with the 8th Air Force who flew 50 missions over Europe during World War II. Certainly his son Billy inherited some of his father's courage, for it takes a lot of courage to sell and be compensated strictly on performance. I have done many studies on the characteristics of top sales professionals, and found they rated very high in courage and outstanding social skills. Billy excels in both dimensions. Some years ago he was in one of my classes at the University of Georgia. The midterm exam he handed in after hours contained just one paragraph. At first I put an F on the top of his paper, and then I thought, not good enough for a paper this bad. I raised it exponentially, F to the 3rd power, and I wrote, "Dear Featherstone, this is the worst paper I've ever read in my life. Drop the course." And I told him that in front of 99 of his colleagues. I've had over 10,000 students in my teaching career, but only one had the audacity, the boldness, and the courage to come to my house unannounced and ask for a change of grade. William Featherstone Gilmore Jr. We sat, had a glass of wine, and he told me, "You forgot one thing in your class. If you have courage, you can win. You don't have to be the fastest, the smartest. You have to have tenacity." Since then, I've often seen Billy Gilmore sell. It's still hard to believe that a fellow with a 2.01 GPA in college can be so very smart about people. Actually, his 2.01 GPA was very predictable. Billy was told by his dad that he needed a college degree to get a job. But what really mattered was his ability to sell. Billy went to college on a full-time basis, but he also worked full-time selling real estate. He polished his social skills by attending every formal, semi-formal, and informal party and all football games. Yes, Billy is productive. Anything over a 2.01 GPA would have cut into his selling time or social enhancement skills, so he just didn't bother to do better. For more than 20 years Billy Gilmore and I have been friends, and we occasionally work together. Recently, the senior vice president and national sales manager of a major public corporation asked me to provide a seminar to 100 of his top professionals in Dallas on a Saturday morning. Since role-playing and situation analyses were part of my seminar program, I telephoned Billy, who sells lady sportswear, including blue jeans, to firms like J.C. Penney, which is headquartered in Dallas. I suggested that he stay over through Saturday and help me do some role-playing during the seminar. Billy immediately agreed. "Tommy, it's a deal. Give me the name of your contact, national sales manager. I'll get all the details from him. I'll meet you Saturday morning." Billy did much more than call my contact for details. He telephoned the national sales manager's secretary and got the particulars about the seminar's location and time schedule. Then he asked the secretary a series of interesting questions. "Billy, does Mr. Herman's wife wear blue jeans?" Secretary, "I believe so." "Billy, do you have any idea what size jean Mrs. Herman wears?" Secretary, "Just like me, a tight 10 or really a 12. On the morning of the seminar, I walked into the ballroom about 30 minutes early. The national sales manager saw me, and in an instant he zipped across the room and said, "My God, Tom, my wife loves the blue jeans. She can't thank you enough." She feels a lot better about me giving up my Saturday when there are blue jeans involved. They fit her perfectly. While Mr. Herman praised me, I wondered what the heck he was talking about. Just then I looked over at Billy. He had a very large smile on his face, and in an instant it hit me. Billy, via his special, Featherstone fit, jeans, had struck again. Once again, he demonstrated how to get along with people. It was Billy who started Mr. Herman out in such a great mood. With a start like that, I wasn't surprised that the entire seminar was a major success. After he determined Mrs. Herman's jean size, he had his senior seamstress construct a dozen pairs of specially made jeans. But high quality was only part of his plan. Inside each pair was a label that indicated size 8. Even today I'm not sure. When Mr. Herman calls and asks me to give another seminar, I ask myself, is it my seminar or Billy's blue jeans that precipitated the call? Billy never even told Mr. Herman that it was he who sent the jeans. He put a note in the box saying, "From Tom Stanley." I got the credit, all the goodwill. Eventually, Mr. Herman's company purchased many of my seminars, books, tapes, and other materials. What was the source of Billy Gilmore's empathy for the needs of people? I asked him the same question, and he told me his mother always told him that. Me is dull, dull, dull. In other words, always focus on the needs and interests of others. His dad was a sales professional and he played a role, too. When Billy was just a young boy, his dad often took him on sales calls selling school buses to county school districts. Before each call, his dad explained why it was important to understand the interests and backgrounds of each person who made school bus purchasing decisions. His dad was a top sales professional and a great mentor, and he, too, believed and practiced the fundamental rule of selling. Me is dull, dull, dull. Leadership qualities. Concerned parent, we are very concerned about our son. With his grades, top colleges are out of the picture. Headmaster, don't worry about Richard. He'll do well in life. People like him and respect him. They follow him. Richard is a natural leader. The headmaster was accurate in his assessment of Richard. Recently he wrote on the questionnaire he completed for me, poor student in high school and college. But he also indicated that he was rapidly approaching decamillionaire status. He is a leader and a very successful business owner and has great enthusiasm for his vocation. He demonstrates a lot of appreciation and empathy for the needs of all his employees, who are paid significantly above the norm. In turn, Richard is well liked by his employees. As a token of their appreciation, they all chipped in and gave Richard and his wife the gift of a European vacation. Yet Richard's life might have turned out differently. What if he'd had a different set of parents and an insensitive headmaster at the prep school he attended? What if they'd told Richard, "With these grades, you'll never amount to a hill of beans. With your academic record, you'll be lucky to get a job washing dishes or sweeping floors." Instead, Richard's parents and he